Hi, I'm Shelley Wood and this is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. Today I'm going to show you how to make a vintage style swimsuit to fit Remco's Judy Littlechap dolls from 1963, the new 13-inch My First Barbie dolls, and similar sized dolls. Before we begin, please go to my website, shelleywood.com, to download and print this free PDF sewing pattern. Use your pattern to cut out all the pieces shown here. Use a fabric pencil like this one to mark the darts on all 4 bodice pieces. I'm using a Dritz fabric pencil, which comes in a nice kit with a sharpener and an eraser. Let me show you a trick to help you mark your darts. Sometimes I use a window, but a light box works well too. And you place the paper pattern behind the fabric, then mark the lines on the wrong side of the fabric. Fold the dart along the center line that you drew. Stitch along the outside line where my thumb is. And here's how it's going to look once it has been stitched. We're stitching on the wrong side of the fabric, the not so pretty side. Clip away the excess dart fabric, which is what you see me doing here. This will keep the final garment from being lumpy. Now your swimsuit fronts should look like this. Lay one of the swimsuit fronts on top of another, keeping right sides together so the pretty side of fabric touches the pretty side. Stitch along the long edge that has no dart and carefully clip the seam, making sure you don't cross your own stitches. I recommend Fisker's 5-inch stitcher scissors for clipping your seams. They really prevent mishaps. And that's what I'm using here are the little Fisker's 5-inch stitchers. Open this swimsuit front piece and press the seam. Follow the same directions for the other front. Now you have 2 swimsuit fronts that look like this. Lay one front on top of another, keeping right sides together. Stitch these together in 3 locations. So you're going to stitch along the first leg opening area, along the second leg opening area, and then across the top of the swimsuit, but you need to start your stitches in the middle and stitch away from the center seam. Then you're going to do this on the other side too. You want to make sure your center seams are aligned. Carefully clip all 3 seams you just made and invert the swimsuit front piece. Okay, so I'm carefully clipping, making sure not to cross my seams, doing the leg hole areas, and now I'm going to flip it inside out, and you'll see that I use a chopstick to help me with that. Press your seams, and now your swimsuit looks like this on one side, and like this on the other side. Lay one of the swimsuit backs on top of another back, keeping right sides together. Stitch the center seam from here, where I'm pointing, to down at the bottom here. Follow the same directions for the other swimsuit back pieces. Clip the top of the seam only. Open this seam and press. So here I am just clipping that very top, and then I finger press to open the seam. Do this for both swimsuit backs. Lay one of these backs on top of another, aligning the back closure area specifically. Okay, so when I'm aligning the back closure area, I want to make sure that my back piece matches nicely. You want to make sure that you align those so that they match up. So from the center seam at the bottom, you want to be down at the bottom near the crotch along the closure flap, and then turn again and sew across the top of this back piece. Okay, so when we're done, we will have a stitch that goes from here down to here. Next, we'll sew the other back piece similarly. Now we're lining up those back pieces so we can make sure that all our seams are going to work. So starting at the center stitch, following the back closure line up to the top, turn at the top and stitch along the top edge. Okay, now here's what I have so far, and this side looks like this. And here's the stitch I just made, starting where I tapped there with my fingertip. And the idea is to create a closure. Clip all the seams you've sewn so far and invert your swimsuit back. Okay, so I'm clipping my seams and corners with my little Fisker stitchers, and if you'd like to buy some Fisker stitchers, if you use a link that's down in the description below, you help support my website and all these tutorials. Now your swimsuit back looks like this on one side and like this on the other side. Press the swimsuit back. Now we'll work with the straps. You should have 4 strap pieces cut out. Lay one swimsuit strap on top of another, keeping right sides together. Note, one's a lining strap, one's an outer fabric. Sew along 2 sides, making an L shape. Clip and invert. That's what I'm doing here. Again, I use my chopstick to invert. Press your seam. Follow these directions for both straps. Now fold the long raw edge inside the strap, like you see me doing here. And we're going to stitch this shut. So I just fold that raw edge inside the strap itself. And I used a whip stitch to close my straps, but you could use a ladder stitch if you're good at ladder stitch. If you need help with the whip stitch, I do have a tutorial for that. Just look in the description below this video on YouTube. Follow these directions for both straps. You'll see they're still open at one end. Lay the swimsuit back over the swimsuit front, keeping outer fabric pieces together. Connect the side that has a wide closure, sewing from the top of the swimsuit to about where there's a bend in the fabric for the doll's hip. I stopped sewing about 2 centimeters or 3/4 inch from the raw edge of the fabric. Tie your knot here. Clip the leg hole area of the swimsuit back and press these clips inside the leg hole area. That's what I'm doing here. I'm clipping. Now I'm going to bend those in, just folding them in, and then I whip stitch to create a final seam, making sure front and back pieces will all match up. Again, if you can pull off a ladder stitch instead, sometimes those look nicer, so go for it. Now finish sewing the side seam. Follow the same directions to sew the other side, including the leg hole and the side seam. Clip both side seams now. This just gives a little bit cleaner fit, less bulk. Bring the front and back crotches together. Sew across the bottom of the crotch. Invert the whole garment. Gather the bottom of one of the straps, pulling the gathers tight before tying a knot. Attach this to one side of the center seam at the front of the garment. Gather and attach the other strap to the other side of the center seam at the front of the garment. Where the back of the swimsuit overlaps, attach a row of Dritz size 2/0 or 3/0 snaps. Affix snaps to the end of each strap as well. And now you're ready to try the swimsuit on your doll. For more free printable PDF sewing patterns to fit dolls of many shapes and all different sizes, please remember to visit my website, shelleywood.com.
What if there was an easy way to take a big doll pattern and resize it to fit a little doll, or vice versa? I'm Shelley Wood, the doll clothing designer, and in my pattern alteration class, I'm going to share with you my resizing formula.
Pattern alteration is when you take a pattern that you already own and you make changes to it. Let's say a dress doesn't fit your doll quite right. I'll show you how to create a gusset to extend the dress's bodice. Along the same lines, I'll show you how to use a doll's body measurements to lengthen and shorten shirt sleeves, and to recreate the pants patterns you already own so they will fit dolls of different shapes and sizes. Following my instructions, you'll learn how to reshape dresses and skirts, making them fuller or less full depending on the look you're going for. With this collection of more than 40 videos, you'll use my measurement guide and dozens of tips and tricks to create a full wardrobe for the doll or dolls of your choice.
I invite you to join me. We are going to have so much fun.